Tom lived in a small, peaceful town, the kind of place where the days drifted by gently, and the biggest excitement was the distant sound of a train passing through. The streets were lined with old maples, their leaves whispering secrets in the breeze, and every house seemed to have its own story, quietly tucked behind white picket fences. In this town, not much ever happened. The mornings were slow, the afternoons even slower, and the evenings were filled with the soft glow of porch lights and the distant laughter of neighbors sharing stories. It was a place where everyone knew each other, but secrets still lingered in the quiet corners. Tom was a quiet boy, more comfortable watching than speaking, his gentle curiosity hidden behind shy eyes. He often sat by his window, gazing out at the world, wondering about the lives unfolding just beyond his reach. He found comfort in silence, letting his thoughts wander as he watched the world go by. Tom preferred to listen, to notice the small details, the way the wind danced in the trees, the determined march of an ant, the soft hum of distant voices. He saw beauty in the ordinary, finding stories in the flutter of a butterfly's wings or the pattern of raindrops on the window pane. While others hurried past, Tom lingered, savoring the quiet moments that made up his days. His shyness was both a comfort and a weight, making him feel safe, but sometimes lonely. He longed to join in, to laugh and play with the other children, but something always held him back, a gentle fear of being seen, of standing out. The world felt safer from the sidelines, even if it meant missing out on the fun. People greeted him with a nod or a quick hello, but no one really saw the depth beneath his quiet surface. To them, Tom was just another face in the crowd, a polite boy with a soft smile, always present, but never quite part of the action. He wondered if anyone noticed how much he observed, how much he cared. Tom had accepted his role as a background character in his own town. He watched life unfold from the edges, content to let others take center stage. But sometimes, late at night, he dreamed of what it might feel like to be brave, to step forward and let his voice be heard. But even the quietest lives can change in a moment that calls for courage when the world suddenly turns and asks you to step out of the shadows. Tom never imagined that such a moment would come for him. But life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. For Tom, that moment was about to arrive, on a day that began like any other. The sun rose over the rooftops, painting the town in golden light, and Tom set out on his usual walk to school, unaware that everything was about to change. That afternoon, Tom went to the park as usual, but something was different. A soft, lonely whimper caught his attention. Under a rosebush, he found a small, scruffy dog with honey-colored fur and frightened eyes. The dog wore a red collar, but had no tag. Tom felt an instant connection. He knew what it was like to feel small and overlooked. He wanted to help, but his shyness held him back. People passed by, not noticing the dog's silent plea. The whimper grew more desperate, breaking through Tom's hesitation. He approached slowly, whispering, "It's okay, I'm not going to hurt you." The dog's uncertain wag was a glimmer of trust, a bridge between two lonely hearts. Tom stayed near the dog, speaking softly, his voice gentle and patient. He knew that sudden movements or loud noises might frighten the little stray even more, so he kept his distance, letting the dog decide when it was ready to come closer. The grass was cool beneath him, and the world seemed to slow down as he waited, offering comfort with every quiet word. Tom extended his hand, palm open, letting the dog sense his kindness and patience. He didn't rush or force the moment, understanding that trust had to be earned, not demanded. The dog's nose twitched as it caught Tom's scent, and for a long moment, neither of them moved, suspended in a fragile silence. Inch by inch, the dog crawled out from its hiding place, drawn by Tom's calm presence. Finally, it lay beside him, a small, trembling gesture of trust that felt monumental. Tom smiled softly, feeling a surge of hope. In that quiet moment, a bond began to form, fragile but real. Tom knew what he had to do next, find the dog's owner. But that meant something he dreaded, approaching strangers in the park, starting conversations with people he'd never met. The thought made his heart race, and he hesitated, glancing around at the unfamiliar faces. His stomach twisted with anxiety, but when he looked down, the dog's hopeful eyes met his. In those eyes, Tom saw trust and a silent plea for help. It was enough to give him strength he didn't know he had. Determined, Tom took off his jacket and carefully fashioned it into a makeshift leash. It wasn't perfect, but it would do. He gently looped it around the dog's neck, reassuring it with soft words, and stood up, ready to face the challenge ahead. His first attempt was with a woman sitting on a nearby bench. He approached, voice trembling, and asked if she recognized the dog. She barely glanced at them, before shaking her head and turning away, dismissing him without a second thought. Tom felt the sting of rejection, his cheeks burning with embarrassment. For a moment he wanted to give up. But then the dog nudged his leg, its gentle tug a quiet encouragement to keep going. Tom realized he wasn't just doing this for himself. He was the only one the dog could rely on. He knelt down, looking into the dog's eyes, and understood that giving up wasn't an option. This little creature was depending on him, and that responsibility gave him a new sense of purpose. He took a steadying breath, feeling a bit braver than before. One person had said no, but there were many others in the park. Tom scanned the crowd, realizing that every new face was another chance, another possibility. He reminded himself that courage wasn't about never being afraid. It was about trying, even when you are. With the dog by his side, Tom took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to keep trying, no matter how many times it took. Each step felt a little easier, and together they moved on. Two unlikely friends, searching for hope and a place to belong. Tom approached a group of teenagers, their laughter echoing across the park as they huddled together, oblivious to his presence. He tried to catch the eye of a parent watching their child on the swings, but they only offered a polite, distracted smile before turning away. Even the joggers, focused on their own rhythm and breath, barely glanced at him as they passed by, lost in their own worlds. He moved on, approaching an elderly couple strolling arm in arm, hoping for a spark of recognition. But their faces, kind yet puzzled, shook gently from side to side. Each person he asked, young or old, gave the same answer. No one recognized the dog at his side. It was as if the whole town had built an invisible wall, their eyes sliding past Tom and his companion without truly seeing them. With every polite rejection, Tom felt his confidence wane. The hopeful energy that had propelled him at first began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of isolation. Still, he pressed on, determined not to let disappointment win. He reminded himself that giving up now would mean breaking the promise he'd made to the dog. The town, once familiar and small, now seemed vast and indifferent. The streets stretched out before him, lined with houses whose windows glowed warmly, but none open to offer help. The empty town square at dusk felt colder, the silence pressing in on him as the day slipped away. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Tom found himself sitting alone on a park bench. Discouragement weighed heavily on his shoulders, and for a moment he wondered if he should just go home and forget the whole thing. But then, the dog rested its head gently on Tom's lap, its eyes full of trust and quiet hope. The simple gesture reminded Tom of the promise he'd made, to help this lost creature find its way home, no matter how hard it might be. Giving up wasn't an option. Tom clenched his fists, feeling a new surge of determination rise within him. He realized that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones no one else sees. His shyness tugged at him, whispering that it would be easier to slip away unnoticed. But the dog's unwavering trust was stronger than his doubts. Tom knew he couldn't let fear decide for him. Taking a deep breath, Tom stood up, brushing off the dust from his jeans. He looked down at the dog, who wagged its tail in encouragement, and felt a flicker of hope return. He was determined to try one more time, no matter how many times he had to ask. He would not let the dog down. The silent promise between them was stronger than any rejection or moment of doubt. Sometimes courage isn't about grand gestures or loud declarations. Sometimes it's just refusing to quit, even when the world seems not to care. As twilight settled over the quiet streets, Tom and the dog set off once more, side by side. Hope flickered in the fading light, fragile but real, guiding their steps into the unknown. With every step, Tom promised himself he would keep searching, no matter how long it took, because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change everything. As evening fell, Tom left the park, walking the quiet streets with the dog at his side. He imagined a worried family waiting for their lost pet. The world was still, just Tom and the dog on their quiet journey. He spoke to the dog, promising, "We'll find them." Turning onto a street he rarely visited, Tom heard a voice calling, "Buddy! Buddy!" The dog's ears perked up, tail wagging furiously. Tom's heart leapt. Could this be the moment? He followed the dog toward the sound, hope rising with every step. The dog pulled Tom toward a woman standing under a streetlight, her voice frantic with worry. The moment she saw the dog, her face lit up with joy. "Buddy!" she cried, and the dog broke free, leaping into her arms. Tom watched the reunion, warmth spreading through his chest. He had done it. Quiet Tom had brought a family back together. The woman, Mrs. Gable, thanked him again and again, calling him a hero. For the first time, Tom felt the word fit. He introduced himself, his voice steady and clear. Mrs. Gable walked him partway home, sharing stories about Buddy. Tom walked the rest of the way, pride blooming quietly inside him. At home, Tom told his parents everything, his fears, his failures, and his small victory. They looked at him with pride, seeing the courage beneath his quiet exterior. That night, Tom realized courage isn't the absence of fear, but doing the right thing despite it. He learned that kindness and small acts of bravery can change the world. Tom was still a quiet boy, but something inside him had changed. His shyness felt lighter, more like a cloak he could choose to wear or set aside. He knew now that even the quietest person could have the heart of a hero. And Tom was ready to take that first step, again and again.